I'm challenging myself to draw for an hour a day for the next 30 days because I hate drawing. This painting right here is one of the only things I've ever actually painted, and it clearly did not go well. I'm just not very good at it, but I've also never really kind of taken the time to dive fully into it. And I really want to change that. I really want to kind of get over that fear of drawing. I don't know what's gonna happen, but what I do know is that it starts today. On the first day of this challenge, I think I went in a little too confident about my capabilities to draw. I also very quickly realized that an hour of drawing is a very long time, especially when you are not very good at it. So the very first drawing that I did was this little guy here. This was a tree. I was warming up, okay? I was warming up. There's this danger sign, this little portal thing going on here, and this dude is like jumping through the portal. On days 2 and 3, I decided to experiment a little bit with color, get a little fancy with it, get a little fancy schmancy with it. However, this was the only time that I got fancy schmancy with it because this color trend did not last very long in my drawing expeditions. But it was very cool while it lasted. In these early days, I wasn't really spending a lot of time on each drawing. I was going for this kind of quantity over quality approach, I feel like. Not spending a lot of time developing each drawing into something more. This page is kind of super chaotic. However, on day 2, I did have a really cool moment where I was looking at a potted plant in my kitchen and I drew that potted plant and it turned out really freaking good actually. However, I did not connect the dots that using a reference was helpful for drawing, and so for the next couple of days I decided to just, you know, just draw straight from the dome again. Day 4, I did try to watch a YouTube video about how to draw, but I shit you not, I stopped watching it after like 2 seconds. Like I did not give that video the time of the day that it deserved. Day 4 recap. I drew this ghost guy, which I think is pretty fucking cool. I'm actually kind of really proud of this ghost guy. We have this guy, who's like a triangle dude who's like spinning a staff. This is the road. These are the sidewalks. There's a bunch of little dudes walking around here. These are the skyscraper, the buildings. On day 5, I think I had reached my breaking point of drawing straight from the dome. I kind of lost all creative capabilities, and for a large majority of the day, probably about the last 40 minutes of the day, I was just started drawing the same characters over and over and over again, and the characters weren't even really that interesting, to be completely honest with you. So days 6 and 7, I sat down and I actually watched a full YouTube video about how to draw, multiple full videos actually about how to draw. Sometimes my mind would wander, you know, you can't tame the beast for too long. I started drawing random album covers that I would find. All my niche music listeners out there, can you guess what that is? Which, by the way, was more proof of the fact that drawing from reference was a really beneficial tool for me that I still did not understand until later on in this challenge. One thing that these tutorials have taught me is that everything can be broken down into simple shapes, and that's really how, you know, most drawings are done. And once you understand that, you can kind of just figure out how to draw anything, it seems like. Sitting down and watching these videos about how to draw kind of led me to this realization that it is very much important to kind of learn your skill that you're trying to learn from people who already know how to do it. When I started this challenge, I had the intention of not watching any videos online about how to draw. I was just going to draw straight from the dome for 30 days just to see how I improved. But very quickly I realized that that is not necessarily how you should go about learning a new skill. Which is interesting because for me, all of the other tools that I've learned how to use, Ableton Live and Adobe Premiere, I pretty much learned on my own. So it's kind of a weird step outside of my comfort zone. I'm all for learning from people that are smarter than you, but not when it comes to fucking art, man. Let me do my own shit. Unless I come to a breaking point and need to learn how to do my own shit. I was at this park and I was trying to draw and everything was like going somewhat well. Actually, that's a lie. Nothing was going well. Nothing was like sticking in my brain. I wasn't able to like actually create anything. I wasn't able to draw anything. I was having a really tough time. It's been like 30 minutes, right? And I was like, okay, I have like barely anything to show from this. I think I'm just gonna like call it a day at 30 minutes. But then I was walking back from the park and I was like, no, man, this is not what the challenge is. The challenge is to draw an hour a day for 30 days. I can't just stop halfway through and not draw. There's always going to be good days and there's always going to be bad days. Even through the bad days, you gotta push through, you know? You gotta break on through to the other side. On days Days 9 and 10, I decided to sit down and learn more about how to draw. I drew a lot of cubes today. So many fucking cubes today. I was watching some videos about perspective. Whoa, look at that. More perspective cubes, whoa. That's all what we call in the industry 1-point perspective. Let me show you what 2-point perspective looks like. Whoa, whoa, look at that. Day 10 recap. I learned about manipulating boxes, man. Look at these curves, bro. Look at these curves. This is dope. Look at this guy. This is probably one of the coolest guys that I've drawn. Never mind like what's gone up top there. On the next 2 days, day 11 and 12, nothing too crazy happened, nothing revolutionary. What the fuck is that? However, I did go back to the park that I went to on day 8 to seek my revenge, and my revenge was had, because look at these kick-ass drawings. So I drew all these trees. I was practicing cylinders down here, and then I kind of just turned it into this guy. There's like some weird creatures in the forest as well. So that's kind of like a cool little scene that I was like pretty happy with how that turned out. Day 13 was another bad day. Very much a lack of creative inspiration on that day. So I kind of just resorted to drawing a bunch of boxes. On day 14, I decided I did not want to draw from the dome after attempting to draw from the dome. So I... That just sounds so weird. So I actually ended up just looking up random things. Check out this couch that I'm currently drawing. It's a pretty nice fucking couch. Pretty sure JD Vance would agree that that's a nice fucking couch. On day 15, I went out to the park with my buddy Dennis. And on this day, I feel like something finally clicked in my brain about this whole drawing thing. You know, it started out just like any other session. I was just kind of drawing random stuff to kind of warm up. And then I noticed that Dennis was like looking at things in our environment. He was drawing those things in our environment. So I thought, hey, why don't I try that? I can do that. I drew a nice couch by looking at it. And so I picked out something in my environment. I drew it out, and goddamn, man, does it look good. That is something special right there. I've only been doing this for 15 days, and I've only watched like 5 different videos about how to draw. And I think I've made some really decent progress. It was obviously not perfect. I mean, it's like, there's still a lot more that I need to work on. Perspective is one thing that's like I'm really struggling with, I think, but I still have 15 days until this whole project is over. Like, I'm only halfway through. That's kind of encouraging to see. I was freaking fired up, man. Day 16, day 17, fired up. I finally realized that drawing from reference is probably the greatest thing that I could do in this challenge. So I did this really... Okay, don't hate me for this, but I did this thing where I told ChatGPT, hey, I'm learning how to draw. Can you generate an image for me? And then I'll use it as a reference to draw. The results might shock you. I feel like that ain't too bad, if you ask me, and you're asking me, so I think that ain't too bad. Day 17 recap. Do the ChatGPT method again. First I drew this little cat guy looking out the window, and this one, holy crap guys, this one I'm super proud of, look at that. I mean, after being on one of the greatest highs of my life, feeling pretty good about day 17, man. I felt the lowest low of my life on day 18. You know how we talked about good days and bad days? Those bad days hit so much harder after you've had a lot of good days in a row. Nothing seemed to work for me. I was picking reference photos that were too hard that I tried to draw and I just couldn't figure it out. Oh my God! I wasn't fully committing to anything that I was drawing. I just wasn't really enjoying the process. I already fucked up.
You can't have fucked up already, God. You don't even have anything to fuck up yet.
I think I'm fucked up. But not for long, because days 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, baby, I was on the freaking roll. I was back at it like a crack addict, as fucking Killer Mike would say. For some reason, during these days, I got really into character drawing. We got the Joker, baby. I would just look up those characters on Google Images and I would draw them. And during these days, I really started taking a quality over quantity approach to these drawings. You know, if you look back at my previous drawings back in the day, you could see that I was very much so filling up multiple pages in each day, filling up 4 to 5 pages in each day. But towards the end of this challenge, I was getting lucky if I even filled up half a page with my drawings. I was being very careful. I was realizing that the eraser is my best friend and it's okay to erase. That's what the eraser is there for. So I was drawing a line, and if I went, no, that doesn't look right, then I would erase it and I would redraw it, because that's okay. People make mistakes. That's what the eraser is there for.
Kyle, you're kind of actually starting to improve.
Oh, the eyes are kind of fucked up.
He's kind of soulless.
I came out with some really cool fucking drawings that I'm actually really proud of that I still honestly cannot believe that I drew. Unfortunately, the next few days, day 24 through day 27, I was in Canada. Well, that's not unfortunate. I was visiting family. It was a really good time. But the unfortunate part is that I did not bring my camera, so I did not have any footage of me drawing. But I did draw. And honestly, the biggest tragedy is the fact that because I wasn't home, I wasn't able to get any of these cool whiteboard shots anymore. The whiteboard's over. There's no more whiteboard. However, I returned home with a newfound motivation for this project. I wanted to really finish strong. So I kind of came up with this idea to make one final masterpiece of a drawing that would take up a full page of my sketchbook, a drawing that would combine every little bit and piece that I learned from these 30 days and even then some. A drawing that would have so much detail that you would have to pause the video at the end of this to actually see all the detail that I put into this drawing. A drawing that took so long that I actually stopped tracking how many days it took me to draw it. At some point, it wasn't even for the video. I wasn't even drawing for the sake of the video. I was drawing because I just enjoyed drawing so much. I got to that point where I just enjoyed the craft of making something that has never been thought of before, which is what all art is all about, man. Making something that has never been made before, that you get to stamp your name on and you get to say, I fucking did that. Every new stroke would add a whole new layer to this world that I was building straight from the dome, dude. Look at the final image. This is so satisfying, man. I could not be more proud of myself, and I hope this inspires one of you guys to go out and start your own 30-day creative journey. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please consider checking out the Patreon page. You can see every single drawing that I made for this 30-day challenge on the Patreon page, plus a whole lot more for just $5 a month.